Hello best learners, this is Mustafa here at Learn with the Best, and today we're going to be discussing Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Law number 44, disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. In this video, I'm going to define the law for you, and then we'll look at a story from history to get an idea of what the mirror effect is. And then we'll dive into the 4 different types of mirror effects that we can wield in our path for ultimate power. Here's the law. The mirror reflects reality, but it is also the perfect tool for deception. When you mirror your enemies doing exactly as they do, they cannot figure out your strategy. The mirror effect mocks and humiliates them, making them overreact. By holding up a mirror to their psyches, you seduce them with the illusion that you share their values. By holding up a mirror to their actions, you teach them a lesson. Few can resist the power of the mirror effect. When we look at Robert Greene's 48 laws, we can observe that most of these laws are defensive in nature. Things that you should not do, for instance. Things that protect you from harm. So that being said, there are not all that many laws that deal with the offensive. But when they are, Robert Greene teaches us how to be offensive in a very defensive way. Well, this law, to disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect, is a very offensive law, and it is probably the best offensive weapon that you will have in your toolbox when it comes to the 48 laws. So pay close attention to this one. Once upon a time, thousands of years ago, in Athens, a powerful general named Alcibiades learned of the great power that comes from using the mirror effect. In every interaction, he had the uncanny ability to sense the mood, the taste, and the feelings of other people. Then he would carefully tailor his words and actions to mirror their desires. He was able to seduce people with the idea that their values were superior to everyone else's. He made people believe that his goal was to model himself after them. And to model yourself after someone else is very flattering. Alcibiades was a luxurious man, enjoying all of life's little pleasures, while on the other hand, his friend Socrates was a simple man who didn't need all that much. He was a minimalist, if you will. So whenever the two spent time together, Alcibiades would mirror Socrates by keeping things as simple and upright as possible. Socrates quickly fell under the spell of Alcibiades. Socrates believed that he was the one to have influenced this different side of Alcibiades, and this different side was the true side of the man, and that he was only able to be his true self while in the company of Socrates. Of course, it was all fake. Alcibiades was simply mirroring. As the general of an army, Alcibiades was leading an invasion into Sicily, and during the same time as this invasion, some of his Athenian enemies had come up with trumped-up lies, fabricating charges against the man. They accused him of profaning some sacred statues. Alcibiades knew that upon his return to Athens, his enemies would have him hanged, and so in fear for his life, he deserted the fleet and defected to Athens' bitter enemy, Sparta. The Spartans were happy to have such a powerful man switch sides, but they were weary of his reputation of being a luxurious man, because the Spartans simply did not believe in luxury. But Alcibiades did what he knew best. He used the mirror effect and fit right in. He started taking cold baths, eating coarse bread with black broth, and wearing simple clothes, just like the Spartans. The Spartan people started to believe that this great man had come to see their way of life was superior to the Athenians, because why else would he have left Athens and come to Sparta, right? Well, Alcibiades unfortunately was too charming for his own good. He eventually seduced the queen of Sparta, and he got her pregnant. The scandal became public, and he had to flee again. This time he ran to Persia, where he suddenly went from Spartan simplicity to living a lavish Persian lifestyle. Again, the people of Persia loved how a great man like Alcibiades preferred their culture over his own, and they showered him with land and power. Eventually, a Spartan assassin caught up with Alcibiades and murdered him for knocking up the Spartan queen. And so let that be a lesson to us all. Use the mirror effect to achieve the wins that you really need, but do not go further than you need to. Now, let's look at the 4 main mirror effects in the realm of power. But before we do that, here's a few words from our sponsor. Oh wait, I don't have a sponsor, so I guess I'll be my own sponsor. If you want to transform yourself from a lamb to a lion, then please check out my course pinned in the top comment below. I will teach you the importance of time and how you can manage your time in order to achieve your dreams and your life purpose. Let's be honest here, the majority of the population are sheep taking part in the 9-to-5 rat race of life, not enjoying their work and never fulfilling or even finding their true life purpose. You go to work, you come home, you eat a pizza, you watch the newest TV show, and day by day, month by month, decade by decade, your life passes you by and you have never achieved your dreams. So let me be your sensei. I will give you the tools that you need for success. But keep in mind, this is not a magic pill and it will require hard work on your part. You have to follow what I teach and you have to put the work in on yourself. So if you're interested, then again, check out my course pinned in the top comment below. Okay, so let's get back into the video. The first of the 4 types of mirror effects is the neutralizing mirror effect. In Greek mythology, the demon Medusa had serpents for hair, a forked tongue, and with a face so ugly that not even a mother could love. Anyone who looked at her would instantly turn to stone. Of course, these days, we'd put her on the cover of Cosmopolitan magazine and tell her that she's amazing. But back in the day, the hero Perseus had to come up with a plan to defeat her. So he polished his bronze shield into a mirror, and then using the reflection in the mirror to guide him, he was able to behead her without looking at her directly. The shield was a mirror, and the mirror was a shield. When Perseus walked up to Medusa, she could not see him. She only saw her own reflection, and this is the essence of the neutralizing effect. Mimic your enemy's actions the best that you can. They won't see what you're up to because they'll be blinded by the mirror. Their strategy for dealing with you depends on you behaving true to your own characteristic behaviors. But if you flip it around and mimic them, they won't be expecting it, and it will infuriate them beyond belief because you're essentially pushing them into the same traps that they have planned for you. The good part about this strategy is that you don't have to go into an interaction with your own strategy already planned. Just size your opponent up and mimic them. Do you remember when you were a child and your brother said something mean to you? How did you respond? You probably said something like, "Oh, I know you are, but what am I?" And as an adult, you must be more subtle. But this is basically the essence of the neutralizing mirror effect. The reverse of the neutralizing mirror effect is called the shadow mirror effect. This is when you shadow your opponent's every move. You don't mimic, but you just lay in wait in the shadows, kind of like Batman. You learn everything you possibly can about the opponent without them ever laying eyes upon you. And when they make their move, you will have seen it coming from miles away and already prepared yourself with a counter of your own, putting your opponent in checkmate. Say for example, you suspect that your partner is cheating on you. You hire a private detective to spy and gather evidence. This is the shadow. Okay, next up is the narcissist mirror effect. This is the mirror effect that Alcibiades used to become a master seducer. We are all profoundly in love with ourselves, and if you are able to glance into the soul of your opponent and understand their innermost desires, understand what makes them tick, what they love about themselves, and then if you're able to mirror that, then you have charmed your opponent. People are naturally self-absorbed. We talk about ourselves in conversation, about the things we like and the things we want. We talk about our goals and our dreams. This is normal, but if you're able to talk less about yourself and really listen and understand to what the other person is saying, then reflect it back to them, they will be entranced with you. That is the narcissist mirror effect. Now, the moral mirror effect. This is a purely offensive move on your part to make your opponent feel the same thing that they have made you feel. Do it in a way to make them fully realize and understand that you are doing it to them exactly what they have done to you. My brother and I are only 2 years apart, and I remember this one instance as a kid. I was playing with some of my brother's toys, and he did not like me touching his toys, so he took them away from me. And so as a kid, I used this moral mirror effect on him. So the next time that he was playing with one of my toys, I walked over to him and I took it away from him. I made him feel exactly the same thing that he had made me feel. You see, this is the moral mirror effect. And now, the hallucinatory mirror effect. When it comes to this one, mirrors are deceptive because they create a sense that you're looking at the real world. However, when you are looking into an actual mirror, you're not seeing the world as it truly is because everything is reversed. Go look at the mirror right now. It's as if you're staring at yourself, but if you look very closely, then you see that the image is reversed. Your right side appears as your doppelganger's left, and your left side appears as his right. How very deceptive. So understand the hallucinatory mirror effect is used by the con man in attempting to create a perfect copy of what you are made to believe is a real person, place, thing, or whatever. There was this one time when I had signed up for a gym membership, and it came with a free, in quotation marks, a free one-on-one training session. So I showed up for the free training session, and my coach was great. He showed me some new exercises and everything went well for that hour. But then it was time for me to leave and time for him to make his move. He tried to sell me this crazy plan where each training session came out to be like $80 for a 1-hour session. He was doing a pretty good job creating this fantasy world where he was going to con me, but then he messed up. He said something like, "Oh yeah, I just hired a full-time coach and he's going to be starting here in a few days. I told him all about you, Mustafa, and I told him about your fitness goals and he's really looking forward to working with you." That was really weird to hear. This guy that I'm meeting for the first time has already talked to another guy, and he decided to hire said guy as a full-timer just to trade me. Yeah, my BS meter was going through the roof. I walked straight out the door. So in closing, understand that the basics of the mirror effect are used by almost everyone on a subconscious level. And now that we've brought it into our conscious mind, it should be easy for us to detect when it is being used against us, and it should also be easy for us to use it against others as well. If you like my YouTube content and you want to support me and the creation of more content, then please check out my Patreon link pinned in the top comment below. I upload new videos every Friday for my Patreon subscribers that go deeper into my life regarding the 48 laws. These videos are a bit more raw and untamed than my usual videos here on YouTube. And if you're a patron of mine already, then I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it's people like you that truly make all of this content even possible in the first place. I hope you enjoyed this animated video on Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Law number 44, disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. And remember, you only retain about 10% of what you learned the first time around. So watch this video through a few times and then come back to it again and again in order to really understand and ingrain all of the material into your mind. Thanks, and I'll see you next time for Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, Law number 45. Thank you for staying until the end of this video. It really means a lot to me.